Hi. So today we will be analyzing something new. I promised you a couple weeks ago that I would provide you with a review of Netflix's The Sandman, and here I am. I even made this coat to kind of look like Morpheus. I thought it would be cool. Anyway, I have 7 pages of analysis to go through, so we're just gonna start because, let's start. In August of 2022, Netflix released a new series, The Sandman, adapted from Neil Gaiman's 1989 graphic novel series of the same name. It follows the journey of Morpheus, played by Tom Sturridge, who I hadn't realized I'd seen in the 2006 psychological thriller Like Minds, and also who I hadn't realized became my sister's crush in the 2010 movie Waiting for Forever, The Lord of Dreams, after his escape from a 100-year imprisonment. We watch as Morpheus returns to the dreaming, his realm, and his journey to reclaim his tools, a helmet, bag of sand, and ruby that hone his powers as Sandman. The first episode witnessed Dream, as I will refer to him for this essay, as he went out into the waking world to capture a nightmare by the name of Corinthian, but became imprisoned by Roderick Burgess and kept prisoner in a glass bubble, suppressing his powers as he refused to grant immortality to his captor. We watch as years pass, and Dream's absence sends the world into the beginning of a sleeping sickness pandemic, where nobody wakes from their sleep. We also bear witness to Burgess's mistress stealing Dream's tools to support himself as she runs away pregnant from the house. After 100 years of imprisonment, Burgess's son Alex is old and continues to keep Dream in his prison. Dream sneaks his way into a guard's dream, influencing him to shoot at Dream's prison, hence breaking him out. Now that he is free, Dream goes into Alex's room and gives him the curse of eternal waking, a creative way of keeping Alex asleep and out of Dream's way. The subsequent episodes follow Dream as he journeys to retrieve his tools, starting with his bag of sand. First, Dream visits the brothers Cain and Abel to unmake a gift of the dreaming he had made for them. The gift is a small gargoyle by the name of Gregory, whose unmaking provides Dream with the small amount of power he needs to return to the waking world and find his tools. Through a conversation with the Fates, we learn that a woman by the name of Joanna Constantine has the bag. She's essentially an exorcist whose family has crossed paths with Dream in the past. Unfortunately, we find out Constantine had left the bag of sand in the apartment she used to share with a previous partner, and Dream must accompany her to get the bag. When they arrive at the apartment, however, Constantine's partner had been using the power of the sand to dream of good times. Continued use by a mortal of this bag drains the life from them, and Constantine's partner is shriveled and old when Dream removes his bag from her hand. As Constantine had asked Dream not to allow her partner to be in pain, he puts her into an eternal dream so she can sleep easily without ever feeling heartache. The following episode sees Dream traveling to Hell to track down his helm. While there, we meet a woman who used to love Dream many years ago. Her name is Nada. I hope we can see more of that story in the future, because as I have read the second comic book from this, I have learned a bit about Nada's past with Dream, and it's really good. Moving on, Dream sees Lucifer and asks them to call the demon that had stolen his helm. The thief then challenges Dream, wagering the helm as a winning prize, and Lucifer as his fighter. Between a battle of metaphors where fighters defeat each other with metaphorical apparitions, Dream manages to win, defeating darkness with hope. He gets his helm, and all that is left to retrieve is his ruby. This ruby had been stolen by Burgess's mistress and handed down to her son, John D. He had been withheld in a psychiatric hospital for many years and managed to get out when his mother gave him an amulet of protection. Dream traveled to John D's storage unit to collect the ruby. However, considering John had messed with it in some way, it no longer responded to Dream. While Dream is knocked out, John D travels to a diner where he attempts to unearth the truth in people's dreams, throwing the diner into a 24-hour trap of despair and betrayal. When the occupants of the diner reach a climax, Dream finally returns to help to stop John, explaining that the dreams of the occupants were different to their truths, for without dreams there would be no hope, and no hope leads to despair and suffering. John, in an act of desperation to not allow Dream to have the ruby, breaks the jewel and finds himself in a version of the dreaming where he is tiny. It is then explained that by destroying the ruby, John had released all of the power withheld in it, allowing Dream to be more powerful than he ever had before. Instead of killing John, Dream returns him in a sleeping state to the hospital he got out of, then moves to the city where Matthew the Raven asks him what to do about the state of the world. Dream responds by stating that now he has all his tools, he can begin rebuilding both the dreaming and the waking world. Now we move on to my favorite episode, The Sound of Her Wings. We begin by finding Dream sitting in a park feeding the birds some bread, brooding most likely because he is unaware of what to do next. His sister Death comes to see him and confront him about his moping, and you can see that these two are quite close. Death teases him, and even reprimands him for feeling sorry about himself and not thinking about whether she should be worried during his imprisonment. My current favourite line of hers is after she catches a ball without looking, and the owner of the ball compliments her for being almost as good as her friend, to which she replies, "He's not my friend, he's my brother, and he's an idiot." It holds so much affection in such a simple insult that you can't help but smile at these two siblings. The way that Death acts around Dream proves that she worried about him while he was trapped, and she makes it a point to prove to her brother that he means more than he thinks. Dream then shadows Death as she collects people at the end of their time, reveling in the company as Death explains that the endless exists because humans believe they do. There is a sense of bittersweetness in that fact, that while the endless always seem to have so much love of their existence, it is only because they are believed in and will cease to exist after humanity is gone. The second part of this episode happens after Death and Dream part ways. We turn to a flashback in the year 1389, when Death and Dream went into an inn to observe the behaviors of humans. Within this place, Death tells Dream to listen to one of the conversations between some intoxicated men. One man specifically, a man by the name of Hob Golding, swore that he found death to be nothing but a game, and he would not die. Death makes a deal with Dream to observe Hob's behaviors as he lives immortal, and Dream goes to Hob to schedule a meeting at the same inn 100 years from that day. The episode goes on to show each meeting between Dream and Hob for every century they meet. Hob fills Dream in on what he's been up to, and Dream listens before asking if Hob still wants to live forever. Every time, Hob replies with an affirmative, and Dream agrees to meet again the next century. As the meetings continue, we can see that these meetings are not just Dream observing humanity. He is beginning to develop a real bond with Hob, sparked by curiosity as to why a mortal wouldn't want to die. When we come to the meeting in the year 1889, Hob suggests that Dream kept coming to the meetings because he was lonely and wanted companionship, which offends Dream, who believes himself to be above a need for mortal friendship. Hob decides to make a deal then. If Dream shows up for their meeting the following century, then it would prove they were friends. Dream agrees to the deal, and they make their leave. As we know, Dream was currently imprisoned in 1989, meaning he couldn't go and meet Hob. We see Hob sitting alone at the bar of the inn, talking with the barman about his argument with Dream. He reflects on how their last meeting ended, and you can see his wondering of whether Dream will show up at all. An added bitterness to this scene is the small little flip to Dream in his prison, looking up at the sky almost as if he knows what day it is and that he's missing his meeting. In this way, you can tell that yes, Dream does see Hob as a friend. As one of the only mortals we've seen him talk to, you can tell Dream sees Hob as more than just a mortal to serve, he sees him as a companion. When we return to Hob at the bar, it is evident that his faith in Dream showing up is dissolving, and at the end of that scene, he gives up completely. We return to the present, seeing Dream looking at the inn where they used to meet, but this inn is closed and has become a construction site. When he looks down at the fencing, he sees a bit of graffiti pointing to the right of our screen, with the caption, "New Inn." This bit of graffiti follows the fencing all the way up to this place that is actually titled, The New Inn. Inside the New Inn, we see Dream looking around for Hob, and upon finding him, going to stand at his table. Looking at the items of the table, we can infer that Hob has become a teacher, as there are papers on the table with red markings on them. He looks up at Dream, and tells him that he didn't think the Dream Lord would come, to which Dream replies, "I always heard it was impolite to keep one's friend waiting," leading Hob to smile and allow Dream to sit. He sits across from him with a smile on his face, and the duo continue to talk as the episode ends. At the absolute end of the episode, we see Desire, one of Dream's siblings, contacting their sister Despair and mentioning something along the lines of having a new plan. We also saw Desire at the end of episode 5, and we can sense something happened between these two, but we don't actually know what happened. It's through this episode we can see Dream as more than a cold-hearted anthropomorphic personification. He views humanity in a different way and is fascinated by how mortals act and behave. After his imprisonment, Dream was mistrusting of mortals, but you can see here that he has never doubted Hob at all, and Hob was the one mortal Dream thought about while he was trapped. That is why it is my favorite episode. It has so much development for Dream, and it made me genuinely smile. I love wholesome episodes like this that show me there is another side to these characters we see in only one way for a good part of the season. The next 4 episodes follow a new story arc, the story of a girl named Rose Walker. As well as this arc, Dream is out on the hunt for 3 of his creations who had been on the loose wreaking havoc on the mortal waking world. These creations comprise of 2 nightmares, Corinthian and Gold, and Fiddler's Green, a location within the Dreaming. Rose Walker is a dream vortex of a sort. This means she has the power to make dreams come true, which could also completely destroy the universe as we know it. In this arc, she is looking for her younger brother Jed, as the 2 of them were separated 7 years ago when their parents divorced, and she wanted to find him again after her mother passed away. We discover that Gold has been assisting Jed in his dreams to escape the reality of his abusive foster family, and that in his dreams he believes himself to be a superhero called the Sandman. When Dream and Rose travel through Jed's dream to find him, Dream is very amused by Jed's ideas. When Jed introduces himself, there's a patiently amused smile on Dream's face as he delivers the line, "You are the Sandman." It's very cute. Dream returns with Gold to the Dreaming and bids a farewell to Rose as she now has the knowledge to find her brother. She knows where he is, so she no longer needs Dream's help. Gold reveals that she no longer wanted to be a nightmare, she wanted to help people like Jed, who was being abused in the waking world. We will return to Gold in a minute. Rose doesn't manage to get to Jed in time, unfortunately, as the Corinthian finds him first and kidnaps him, taking him to Georgia for a supposed serial convention. Spoiler alert, this convention is a gathering of the most notorious serial killers in the country, and Corinthian had been asked there as a guest of honor. He brought Jed to trap Rose because she can help him to make his nightmare role affect the whole world by bringing the harmful dreams of humanity to life. We can already see Rose's power as a vortex coming true, via Rose's ability to travel through the dreams of her housemates to find Jed, as well as the fact that her friend Lyta's closeness to her brought Lyta's husband, Hector, back to life in the realm of dreams. I bring this specific event up because in her dreams, Lyta becomes pregnant with Hector's baby, which transfers to reality where she is still pregnant. When Dream comes to rectify the damage Rose's power had caused, he sends Hector back to his rightful place and delivers some tragic news to Lyta. Because the baby was conceived in a dream, technically that baby is Dream's, and he will be coming back one day to collect it. I can only assume the baby is Dream's because dream magic brought it into being. All will hopefully be explained in potential future episodes or in the comics. I will let you know on social media once I find that out. You're probably wondering where the last entity, Fiddler's Green, was. Well, a man in Rose's house by the name of Gilbert was Fiddler's Green. He escaped to the waking world because he was curious after Dream's imprisonment and spent his time traveling as a mortal. He took Rose to the serial convention to collect Jed, but after a close encounter with Corinthian, he returned to the Dreaming to help Dream fix the situation. Before we reach the climax of this arc, I want to talk about an implied plot between Dream's siblings, Desire and Despair. I am aware that Desire and Dream had a falling out of sorts, as referenced in The Sound of Her Wings, when Death mentions that Desire seemed to miss their traditional sparring with Dream in the Endless Family Dinner, but other than that, not much has been revealed. Neil Gaiman did mention on Tumblr a specific issue of the comics that explains this fallout, but I can't remember the issue. In episode 8, Desire calls Despair into their throne room and begins to discuss a plot to show Dream that dreams are only results of desire and despair. This plot discussed Nada, the woman we see in episode 4, A Hope in Hell, who was in love with Dream but defied him and was sent down to hell, as well as Roderick Burgess being a diversion. Desire then mentions a vortex and specifies the vortex is a woman, so I think the plot is to try and seduce Dream in some way. We will return to Desire's meddling later. Back to the climax of the arc. As Rose's powers as the vortex begin to tear apart the universe, Dream realizes he has to destroy her to save the world as we know it. Corinthian knows this, so when Rose meets with him, he tries to convince her to work with him to bring a world of murder to life. Dream interferes, and when Rose shuts them out of her dream, he tells Corinthian that he was his biggest disappointment. Rose's power was draining Dream, but with her awake, he can use his power again, and he uncreates Corinthian because he was created wrong. When Rose next goes to sleep, Dream meets her in a wasteland at the end of the dreaming, and tells her that he has no other choice but to kill her to save the world. As he begins to destroy Rose, her great-grandmother Unity interrupts with some huge news. When Dream was imprisoned, Unity became a victim of the sleeping sickness. She was supposed to be the vortex, but because she was sleeping, the role passed on to her descendant, Rose. Additionally, Dream would have made a huge mistake had he actually killed Rose. Turns out, while Unity was sleeping, Desire slept with her and she had a baby. The endless bloodline exists in Rose, and if Dream had killed her, he would have spilled endless blood, which is a really bad thing. Unity took the thing inside Rose that made her the vortex, and Dream killed her instead. A fun fact about Rose's vortex piece that I noticed: it's shaped like a crystal heart, which is eerily similar to Desire's sigil. This could work as a bit of foreshadowing to finding out that Unity and Desire had a thing, because prior to this we see Desire's throne room inside a heart that looks like the vortex piece. Here's where we see more of Desire's meddling, because now we know that Desire had a plot to get Dream out of the picture. It's possible that the protocol they keep mentioning, Destruction, might have been banished or run away because they did something similar, like spill endless blood. I will read the comics and let you know. In an end scene of the show, we see Dream standing before some unfinished dreams and nightmares, one of which looks familiar. It's Galt, and Dream had decided to give her another life as a dream. His reasoning is because he realized he couldn't just expect everything to return to the way it was before his imprisonment, so it would be a time for new dreams, new nightmares, a new age. A perfect wrap-up to this arc. Moving on to our bonus episode, Dream of 1,000 Cats and Calliope, which came out about a week to 2 weeks after the series finished on Netflix. We'll start with 1,000 Cats. This one is an animated story of a cat traveling to the realm of dreams to find the Cat of Dreams, who reveals to her that cats once ruled the world, and were taller than humans, but because enough humans dreamed of a world where they were superior, the world changed. The Cat of Dreams told her that if she can get enough cats to dream, then maybe one day the world would return to when cats were superior. This cat goes around the world telling her story so she can get enough cats to dream with her. The moral here is to show us that our dreams are powerful. Because enough humans dreamed it, the world changed so that it was always known that humans are superior to cats. It shows that enough people dreaming one thing can change the world. And I love that moral. The next story is Calliope, which is another one of my favorites. This story follows a struggling author, Richard Maddock, who trades with an old author, Erasmus Fry, for a muse named Calliope. This muse, while the youngest in the Sandman universe, is the oldest of the muses, and is the muse of epic poetry, who has a lovely voice. Erasmus gives Maddock a tip about getting inspiration from Calliope. While wooing her is the traditional way to go, he found that force was the most effective. This story is a good look at sexual assault, where instead of portraying the woman, or victim, as weak, it portrays the victim as an equal who is strong. When Maddox's attempts to woo Calliope fail, she reveals that Erasmus assaulted her to get inspiration, and we see that the revelation upsets Maddock. Unfortunately, desperation overtakes rationality for Maddock, and after a call from his agent about his overdue book, we hear him go upstairs to Calliope's room before our next scene shows him working on chapter 3 of his novel with a bleeding scratch on his cheek. This is a very new way for me to see assault because we don't see anything, nor do we hear anything beside the door closing. I think this works and should be used more often because it's less confronting when you know what might have happened in a scene cut. After her assault, we see Calliope in her room, calling out to her mothers, the Fates, who arrive to tell her they can do nothing. Only the Endless can help her. Unfortunately, Calliope's last encounter with one of the Endless didn't end so well. She was Dream's wife. They had a son, but they parted on some really tragic terms. In the show, we don't know the cause of the breakup, but readers of the comics probably would know. And me, who read an article that gave me a spoiler. The Fates reveal that Dream had been imprisoned, then leave Calliope alone. A couple years later, Calliope learns that Dream had broken free of his imprisonment, and she sneaks out to summon him. Her summoning gets interrupted by Madoc, however, and he tears up and burns the page she wrote Dream's name on. It is uncertain how much later the next scene takes place, but Dream does come to visit Calliope, and they have a tense conversation before he offers to help her. It's here that you can see Dream still loves Calliope, because despite the terms of the separation, he still wants to help her. Some phrases that solidify my theory are, "because he hurt you," in response to Calliope asking why Dream would help her, and "let me help you, please," when Calliope initially refuses his help. When asked why he came to her, he simply replied that it was because she called for him, and there's a lot of ways you can see the chemistry between these two. The way that Dream helps Calliope, seeing as he can't free her due to her legally belonging to Madoc, is to curse him with ideas in abundance. At first, Madoc doesn't seem to understand what Dream meant by this, but later, at a seminar, when he can't stop spouting ideas, we learn that the Dream Lord had given him the ability to come up with too many ideas for his brain to comprehend. After tearing up his fingers to write his ideas on the wall of the campus staircase, Madoc sends a woman to set Calliope free. In the final scene of the episode, we see Calliope, well dressed now, and Dream standing in Madoc's doorway. She tells Dream that he can set Madoc free because she forgives him, and he does so because she wanted it. We jump to seeing Madoc in the hospital, struggling to remember the ideas he had, or even the names of Calliope and Dream, but he can't seem to think anything. I think Dream may have released too much of Madoc's brain. Calliope and Dream have a conversation where he asks him if he forgives her and still loves her, and he responds that he does forgive her. She also asks to visit him in the dreaming, but he tells her it wouldn't be a good idea. If you watch the series, you'll know of the next shot. Calliope resting her head on Dream's shoulder before leaving the house and walking down the street to her freedom. And that's the end of the show. I loved this show. I loved the world of it, the story. I enjoy a lot of Neil Gaiman's work, so it's quite understandable that I would enjoy this. I have many creative ideas for fan projects of this show, such as art, replicating Dream's coat, and even crocheting a minifigure of him, which I am going to work on tonight. I can't wait to show you guys all the stuff I've already made that you may have seen on social media, and the stuff that I will make. I hope there's a new season, because I'm not ready to leave this world of dreams and reality yet. I will most definitely be growing a collection of the comics, so I can both compare the show to the source material, and also so I can see more of the beautiful world that Neil Gaiman created. If you want, I could write a review of my favourite Gaiman story, Stardust, in the future. It would warrant a reason to watch the movie for the 1000th time. So let me know if you want to hear a review of it, because I would love to sit here and talk about it. Thank you for watching this long analysis. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, go watch Sandman. I tried not to put too many spoilers into this analysis. If you're not a watching person, you can always read the comics. They are a little bit on the pricey side, but they are very worth it. And I really hope that Netflix reviews it for another season, because if they don't, then they're probably going to take it to another source, and it might not be Disney Plus, and I might not be able to watch it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this review. I would love to review more things that aren't musicals. So let me know if you want to see that. Follow me on my social media. That's probably where you'll see me be the most active. Yeah. And I will see you next month, where I will be reading you some of the scariest short stories I have written. Yeah, that's about it. Bye.